Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick live video where I could just talk about some of the things that I've been mentioning in some of my posts about new construction, some of the inventory, quick move-in options that are out there, and why some of those rates are so good. You've seen some of the posts that I've made, listening to the NAR, looking at all the stats, and even what I see on the ground. If you have the ability to buy a new construction, which sometimes is farther out than maybe you're planning to live, or maybe you can't afford it in a subdivision or in a school district that you're looking for, which is where a lot of families are obviously looking for a place to live where their kids are going to go to school. But if you can afford new construction, it should be consideration. Here, I'm going to give you the three reasons why, because especially right now being in a buyer's market, we're seeing a lot of sellers hold their pricing very firmly, and it's very difficult to see them budge off of their price point. And some of that is because they don't have the ability to go any lower, right? They know what their price is, they know what they paid for it, they know what they need to get out of it, including all the compensation or commissions that are going to be paying agents, things like that, title fees. So with resale homes, someone's selling their used home, they have less flexibility in the price of their home, even if they're in a subdivision that you want to be in for your kid's school, for example. So if that's a higher or more important factor for you to be in a school district, then you may have to go with a resale property, which is totally okay. You need to know that going into this conversation. So on the new construction side, what makes the quick move in so appealing right now? And this is why I'm pushing them hard right now. It's why I saw $135,000 in total incentives and cash basically not out of pocket for my buyer in a contract that I'm under right now with a buyer. I'm going to explain some of it. So there's basically three things that builders have control over. One of the things they have control over is the price, because remember, they're selling 50 homes, not just one. So they're able to spread the weight of where they price their homes over those 50 homes. So when you see one sell for 100,000 under, you may not see the rest sell for 100,000 under. They're doing that for a reason. They do that to get you onto their property. So you go, where do I get that $100,000 deal? And they'll go, well, I don't have the $100,000 deal, but I do have the $50,000 deal, right? Which is still good. But that's how they do those things. They have more flexibility to do that. The other thing is they're more in control, especially if they have their own lender, in-house lender. Now that's not a preferred lender, because we've had lots of conversations with that on the incentives. I've been talking with a lot of regular lender brokers that I'm working with. They'll give you the incentive if you're for preferred lender. They'll do that. That is not untrue, but realize there's two sides to it. There's lenders that they have in-house, like some builders have an actual, like D.R. Horton, for example. D.R. Horton has a D.R. Horton lending. They also have a D.R. Horton title. Those come under the umbrella of D.R. Horton, so they have the ability to manage those and control that pricing there. The preferred lender is just a lender on the outside who they work with regularly, and they give them the incentives. On those, sometimes you can go with your normal lender and they'll still give you those incentives. But if they have an in-house lender, the likelihood of them forcing you to use their lender if you want those incentives is probably high. It's very hard to get them to move away from it, but it's possible. It's just not very likely. So, and the other thing they have control over is the title, right? So when I'm looking at my list, and what I've been building is basically a database of sales reps over the last 7 years, since 2019, to basically give me a weekly update of all the incentives and quick move-ins, good opportunities, even potentially getting into like high yield potential for investors. I get those emails weekly, sometimes every other day, depending on how busy they want to be with me. And I basically use my system, my AI system, to go in and evaluate those. And it sends me a list. And so about every 2 or 3 days, I go in there and say, tell me what specials are happening right now. And it goes through and it says, hey, there's one listed at 100,000 under. This one's got, 1.99% interest. This one has, and it goes down the list and it tells me, and I try and share those with you guys. Now, the only way that I get paid is for me to represent you there, but at the same time, that's where they come from. And one of the cool things with builders, just so that you understand this, is that basically builders bank on paying compensation or commissions to realtors that does not necessarily come out of the direct price of your home that you're buying. So what that means is when you're negotiating price, the commission is irrelevant to them, because they've already made the decision about the entire subdivision as a whole, maybe even more so their whole region, that they're probably going to have to pay about 50% of the realtors, or 50% of their closings, to realtors. So they budgeted that into what's called a marketing budget. So really, they don't negotiate based on that. So it's to your advantage to have representation, because if you don't, that money is still getting paid out to a realtor somewhere in the chain. You just don't have representation. So ask yourself, when a sales rep, sorry, sales reps, I'm going to break the news to everybody. When you walk in, they do not represent you. Let that sink in for a minute. They do not represent you. So when I go in and say, can you give us a better price? I am representing you asking them that question. You can ask them that question and the sales rep's going to go, no, we really don't have any more room. But with me, they might go, yes, Alan, we probably can negotiate with you. Why do I do that? Because I'm going to go into them and say, look, there's 3 other builders down the road who are going to give this at a better price. So we'll go to them. So that's how we negotiate it, right? And it's not an attack on them. It's they're trying to do business, but so are we. So what we do is we look at 3 things like price, number one. The second thing we look at is the interest rates, because we can get, I've been seeing 4.5%, 5% interest rates for 30 years on almost everything that I'm going to. You can also see, for example, a buy down. So let's talk about the buy down for a minute, where you get it for 1.99, then 2.99, each year successively. And you go, well, at some point it's going to get 5.5% or 6%. So why did that help me? Well, it helped you for those 4 years leading up to that. So that's a big deal, right? And the average stay is 7 years. So for half of that time, you have a much lower interest rate. I don't know how else to get you something better than that, other than locking you in at 3%, and they don't exist right now. So the way that they can do the 4.5% interest rates long term is because they have what's called a forward-looking forecast, and they basically say, we know that the interest rates are going to potentially sag in these areas. They go out and they buy a bulk amount of these mortgages, say $100 million worth of mortgages, and then they slowly sell those off as packages to you at different interest rates. So that's how they get their lower rates, and it's how they pass those along to you. It's also how, if you catch them at the right time, depending on the time of the year, which whether part of the month we're in, which part of the quarter we're in, all of those kind of things, you could potentially get a lower rate, and the very next day they have a higher rate for somebody else. They're not tricking anyone. They have just basically given away that package that they had available at the lower rate. So we try and catch them when we can. So when you hear us say to you, let's lock this in, let's lock it in, let's lock it in, it's not a pressure point from us. It's just saying tomorrow this could change. And I've seen it happen. I've been standing in a new construction that my buyer really, really wanted, and he said, let's do it. And in 5 minutes later, they got a phone call to the sales rep and said, hey, we just got a contract on that one. And we literally had to go to another house. So it can happen. Our job is just to present that to you and say, don't let this happen to you. If you want to make a decision, make the decision. Otherwise, it could change. So the last thing is incentives. And that usually comes down to things like paying for your closing costs, paying for title. It could be things like fridge, washer, dryer, blinds, as well as like a wireless garage door opener, those kind of things. I will tell you, I saw that last move-in package with the fridge, washer, dryer, and so on was around $7,500. And you go, well, no, I just don't see that. But I'm telling you, I saw the number. I went and looked up each of the actual refrigerator, actual washer and dryer, the blinds that they put in, and I looked at the math, and it was $7,500 because I saw it at Lowe's or Home Depot, wherever I found it. So when they do something like that, a lot of times you go into a model home and you see everything that they have. So when they give that to you, you go, that's just what they were going to give to me. Well, they don't normally. So when they do, that is actually $7,500 in savings for you, or whatever the cost is. That's savings for you. And so what I do is I take that math, and let's say that, for example, the closing costs and title fees are going to be $30,000 total, plus that $7,000 for all of the move-in package, right? It's $37,000, and you're going to live in your house for 5 to 7 years. So let's go to the high side. Let's go to seven years, right? So 37,000 divided by 7 years. Let's see, do the math real quick. 5 times 7 is 35. So about $5,000 a year. That is $5,000 a year that you're saving, but it doesn't feel like it because you never saw it. So you have to understand, when we do things like that, like getting $100,000 off the price of the house, getting $30,000 to $35,000 in closing costs, or $37,000 including like the fridge, washer, and dryer. That is money you do not have to pay out of pocket. That's real, tangible money that you're not having to spend. So when we come in and we bring those to you, that's why we're bringing those in. That is why the opportunities with quick move-ins are such good opportunities right now. You might pay up a little more for the price of the house, unless we can get a huge discount of one, which I've gotten two or three of those in the last year because the buyer was ready to go and ready to make the decision in that moment. Now, that is one thing that you have to consider is you do need to be ready to make the decision, because how it works is they have an earnest amount. Let's say it's $5,000. They do not lock that contract in. They don't lock the financing in. They don't lock in any of those things until you put that money down. That's in essence your deposit. You can get that money back. I always tell people, if you're going to go with the new construction, you need to be ready. When you put that money down, you may not get it back. Now, we can fight for it. Sometimes I've gotten it back, and a lot of times they want to, or if you go buy another house in the same subdivision, they'll move that money over. But you need to be prepared that basically you're going straight to pending. We're going to do all the inspections and everything from that point to closing. We're going to ask them to repair everything that we see on the inspection report. And I'll tell you, on those, for the most part, I've seen them repair everything. So there's great opportunities for them to go ahead and fix everything. The odds are you don't have very many repairs the first 2 or 3 years. So when you have a home that's 25 plus years old, we factor in a certain percentage per year, and it could be up to $5,000 a year just in small things, small repairs here and there, and all the expenses that you have on it. It's not cheap. So that's what you're weighing when you're looking at new construction. So I wanted to do a quick video. It's not quick, I apologize, because I wanted you to at least see what we're seeing and understand why we push new, or in my case, I'm pushing quick move-ins. And a lot of that is because those homes are sitting. And you saw it in the NAR reports that I've shared the last couple of weeks. They do not like homes that are sitting. Why? Because now they have a full house sitting on the property and they're paying taxes on it. They're paying a mortgage on it, even if it's to themselves and their builder lender. They're paying on that. They don't want to. So every month that sits, that's lost money for them. So they want to get those off their list, their inventory list. And that's why they send them to me and say, Alan, we really need a buyer, bring them in. So if you're interested in having a conversation about it, let's chat. Let's talk about how we can get you into one of those. If the time is right for you to move, you've got a family change, you've got a job change, you're just out of space in your house, or maybe you want to downsize even. Let's have that conversation and just see what's available to you, and let's make the best choice for you. Okay? Appreciate you a lot. We'll talk to you guys soon.